Time for another episode of A World Gone Mad, Season 2, Episode 63. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. More chaos again with Donald Trump's administration. And the first news story I'll talk about really has me angry for the day. The Senate votes to confirm Tulsi Gabbard as intelligence chief, with Mitch McConnell joining Democrats to oppose the nomination. The Senate voted 52 to 48 to confirm former Democratic Representative Tulsi Gabbard as Donald Trump's Director of National Security. Now, former Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell voted with the Democrats against her confirmation. Gabbard is Trump's 14th nominee to be confirmed since January 20th. Gabbard, one of the president's more controversial picks, faced concerns from several Republican senators over her lack of support for Ukraine, her shifting position on FISA Section 702, a key surveillance and security tool, her 2017 meeting with former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, and her past support for Edward Snowden. Now, several key swing Republican senators, including Senators Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Todd Young, ultimately decided to back her confirmation. McConnell was the only Republican to vote against confirming Gabbard. Now, on Monday night, Murkowski acknowledged in a statement that she still had concerns about certain positions Gabbard has previously taken, but added that Gabbard brings independent thinking and necessary oversight to her new role. Again, the same usual suspects: Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, with their weak-ass commentary stating some lame comment about, I really don't like this nominee, and I have concerns with XYZ. Hey, there's a rhyme. I was assured that there would be no issues, and they would take care of everything once they got confirmed. So again, either Collins and Murkowski are dumb as a stump or completely naive, but they are the most ineffective senators in the history of our country. Donald Trump, after speaking with Putin today, says negotiations to end Ukraine war will start immediately. President Donald Trump said negotiations to end the Ukraine war will start immediately after his call this Wednesday morning. Now, the call, which is the first conversation between the presidents since Trump assumed office last month, came a day after Russia released an American imprisoned in the country. Trump administration officials said they hope the exchange could portend renewed efforts to end the conflict in Ukraine, which is about to enter its fourth year. Now, in a readout of the conversation posted on Truth Social, Trump said, "We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects." The Kremlin said Trump and Putin spoke for nearly 90 minutes. "We agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. We have also agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately, and we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation." Something which I will be doing right now, Trump wrote. To inform him of the conversation. Notice the wording? He should have been included in the conversation. Yet Zelensky is going to be dictated to what the ending of the war will be. The war where Russia invaded Ukraine, not the other way around. Basically, to simplify these negotiations down to its basic elements, Vladimir Putin released an American that was a hostage in Russia, and what Ukraine has to do, basically according to Pete Hegseth, which I'll be talking about shortly, is not be allowed to be in NATO, and they have to give back territory to Russia, which is any leverage that Zelensky had is gone out the window. Zelensky, is being dictated to how the negotiations are going to go, take it or leave it. Now, as I said, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said the war between Ukraine and Russia must end. And Kiev joining NATO is unrealistic. and that the U.S. will no longer prioritize European and Ukrainian security as the Trump administration shifts its attention to securing the U.S.'s own borders and deterring war with China. Basically, they said Putin could do whatever the hell he wants to do. In remarks before a meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, Hegseth also said that European troops should be the primary force securing a post-war Ukraine, something U.S. troops will not be involved in, he added. The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement, Hegseth said, and he added that any security guarantees offered to Ukraine must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. To be clear, as part of any security guarantee, there will not be U.S. troops deployed to Ukraine, Hegseth said. He also said that a return to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders before Russia invaded Crimea and eastern Ukraine is an unrealistic objective. Hey, President Zelensky, tough doo-doo. You have to relinquish the territory that Russia took during their invasion of your country in the past 3 years. Anyone still have any questions if Trump is in bed with Putin? See me, I'll set you straight. Jordan and Egypt's reactions to Trump's Gaza plan. Jordan and Egypt have stood firm in the face of U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for the Arab countries to take in displaced Palestinians ahead of the U.S. taking ownership of Gaza, redeveloping it, repeating their long-held positions on the enclave. A week after laying out his brazen aim to turn Gaza into a Riviera of the Middle East, Trump on Tuesday reiterated the proposal, even as his guest in the Oval Office, King Abdullah II of Jordan, suggested the Arab world was opposed. The deal would involve Jordan and Egypt accepting millions of new Palestinian refugees, despite both countries consistently rejecting the idea. We cannot afford any more refugees. We're the largest per capita host of refugees in the region, the kingdom's foreign minister Aman Safadi told CNN's Aaron Bernhardt after the meeting, adding, 35% of our population are refugees. A federal judge lets Trump's buyout plan for federal employees proceed. A federal judge in Boston is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with its federal worker buyout program for the moment. U.S. District Judge George O'Toole said Wednesday that federal employee unions, which brought a lawsuit on behalf of its members, are not directly impacted by the program, and so they lack standing to bring this case. He had previously issued a temporary restraining order against the program. This is a major win for the Trump administration, which has struggled to successfully defend its policies in court in roughly 4 dozen lawsuits. Here's a new one, but an old one from Donald. Trump says he will discuss alleged corruption in federal government at a news conference Thursday. President Donald Trump suggested without evidence that Attorney General Pam Bondi should investigate federal agencies for offering kickbacks to contractors, telling reporters he had planned to reveal what he described as widespread, tremendous fraud during a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to, Trump said, referring to tomorrow's event during a media availability in the Oval Office. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented. And the Trump reality television show continues, making ridiculous comments, no evidence, just to create mystery and angst for his base. If you listen to Trump in the White House, he stated there were millions of dollars of fraud discovered. Actually, hundreds of millions of dollars. Actually, billions of dollars, and it'll probably be $1 trillion by tomorrow. He starts with a number or a time frame, just goes crazy, hyper exaggerates the facts, the fake facts that he brings to light. Now, the president also defended investigations being conducted by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGGY, as I like to call it. And this administration, this department, is supposed to be slashing federal agency spending. I want to commend Elon, he said. He's found more things than anybody can find. I think he's got the credibility to do it. I know he does. Though Musk's efforts have targeted spending at a wide array of agencies, including the Department of Education, United States Agency for International Development, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, neither the White House nor Musk have revealed any evidence of fraud or kickbacks, as Trump has claimed. I'm sure he'll produce the evidence when his tax returns get out to be released after the audit. The House Republicans release a budget blueprint teeing up $1 trillion Trump tax extension and cuts to Medicaid. That's right. House GOP leaders on Wednesday put forward a budget blueprint that, if approved by both chambers, would unlock the first step of Donald Trump's massive border and tax bill, while also teeing up trillions of dollars in cuts to government programs and raising the debt limit for roughly 2 years. The plan would allow for $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, as well as $300 billion in new spending on border military programs, while calling for trillions of dollars in cuts to government programs like Medicaid. Let me repeat, he wants to cut Medicaid. This will unlock the process and get us moving, so we're excited about it, House Speaker Mike Johnson said. So how did we get to this point? Well, the measure is a result of weeks of haggling between Mike Johnson and GOP hardliners and includes an ambitious target of cutting $2 trillion in mandatory spending within a decade, designed to win over conservative support. Because Trump has said he would not touch Social Security or Medicare, much of those savings are expected to come from Medicaid, the government's third largest mandatory program. It also includes $4 trillion to raise the debt limit, which amounts to roughly 2 years. Separately, House GOP committees are tasked with cutting $1.6 trillion over 10 years, which will help offset the $4.5 trillion worth of spending on Trump's tax cuts to the wealthy, and $300 billion for Trump's border and deportation plans between Homeland Security, the Armed Services Committees, and the Judiciary Committee combined, all those departments combined. Next steps? Well, the measure now heads for a markup by the House Budget Committee on Thursday. GOP leaders are aiming for a floor vote the final week of February, since the House is not in session next week. Multiple GOP sources says it's not yet certain if the resolution will pass the committee, as members continue to pore over the details of the 45-page resolution. Johnson told reporters in the Capitol on Wednesday that he believes the budget resolution will pass the House by the end of the month. Key Democrat is pushing for an independent watchdog investigation into Musk's DOGE efforts. From CNN, it was reported from Zachary Cohn and Sean Lingas, a key Senate Democrat is pushing for an independent watchdog investigation into the legality and scope of the agreement allowing Elon Musk and his aides to access sensitive or classified government information as part of their ongoing work to reduce the size of the federal workforce, according to the new letter obtained. The letter from Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, specifically asked the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, to investigate the Trump administration's move to designate Musk and his associates as special government employees noting the title does not afford them carte blanche access to government data and servers. I also believe that Musk and his aides are subject to various conflict of interest statutes which prohibit federal employees from participating in matters that impact their own financial interests, Murphy wrote in his letter to the Comptroller General of the United States, Eugene Dodaro. Now, the letter from Murphy underscores how Musk's actions have stirred a 5-alarm fire among Democrats in Congress, with Republicans far more muted in their response. Mindful of that scrutiny and attention on Musk from Congress to the courts, to the citizenry, just to everywhere sounding this alarm, President Donald Trump summoned him to answer questions from the Oval Office on Tuesday, where he assured there would be transparency. Trump pick for top Justice Department post opposes releasing Jack Smith's report on the classified documents case. From CNN, Casey Gannon and Devin Cole, Todd Blanche, President Donald Trump's pick for Deputy Attorney General, told lawmakers Wednesday that he does not support the release of part of former special counsel Jack Smith's report on the classified documents case he brought against Trump. Let me ask you a very specific question about the Mar-a-Lago case. The Justice Department formally had recommended that Volume 2 be made public. Do you support Volume 2 of the report being made public? Democratic Senator Adam Schiff asked during Blanche's Senate Judiciary Committee confirmation hearing on Wednesday. No, Blanche replied, going on to dodge a question from the California senator about whether he would commit to preserving the evidence in both of the cases Smith brought, but ultimately dropped against Trump. I commit to following the law, Blanche added. Mr. Blanche, I understand everybody can say generically that they'll follow the law, but I've asked you a simple question about whether you'll preserve evidence, and you can't say yes, Schiff said. No, I hope every single DOJ attorney, political career, or anybody would say they would follow the law, Blanche repeated. Blanche, who represented Trump in both of his cases brought by Smith, as well as the New York hush money criminal case in which Trump was convicted, told Schiff he has an attorney-client relationship with President Trump, but that there is no active matters he's currently representing Trump on. He went on to say that he didn't think there would be a blatant conflict of interest at play if he was involved in the Justice Department's review of those 3 cases. Unbelievable. Thoroughly expected, but unbelievable in the attitude of these people around Trump who have no regard for the rule of law, they dodge questions, and they don't see conflicts of interest where there are hundreds. The Senate breaks a filibuster on Robert F. Kennedy's nomination, paving the way for confirmation this week. The Senate voted 53 to 47 on party lines to break a filibuster on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination, with several key swing Republicans, including, here we go, Senator Susan Collins, I'm not making this up, and Senator Bill Cassidy, saying that they will back Kennedy's nomination. He's expected to be confirmed. Notice the name again, Susan Collins. And again, she said she has no issues with anyone whatsoever, even though she's concerned about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s positions. She's going to go ahead and vote for him especially, even though there's tons of concerns. Susan, way to take a stand. The prognosis of inflation? No relief in sight. Inflation unexpectedly heated up last month. Inflation saw a surprising increase as the price of groceries, gasoline, shelter all climbed. Consumer prices in January were up 3% from a year ago, according to a report Wednesday from the Labor Department. That's a bigger annual increase than the previous month. Prices rose 0.5% between December and January alone. Forecasters had expected to see some moderation in price hikes, but inflation remained stubbornly high. The news sent stock markets tumbling, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average falling more than 350 points in the first half hour of trading. And egg prices surged. Egg prices saw their biggest jump in nearly a decade last month, rising more than 15% after avian flu forced egg farmers to cull millions of laying hens in December. Overall grocery prices rose 0.5% in January. Stripping out food and energy prices, which bounce around a lot, core inflation was also higher than forecasters had expected at 3.3%. The price of auto insurance, used cars, airline tickets all rose last month. President Trump's new tariffs could put even more upward pressure on prices. On Monday, Trump ordered a 25% tax on all imported steel and aluminum, which could raise the cost of everything from automobiles to canned soup, soft drinks, beer. Trump had earlier imposed a 10% tariff on all imports from China and has threatened additional tariffs on other imports. And this inflationary spike up higher has been attributed to Joe Biden. That's why this happened. President Joe Biden caused this inflation to happen this month. All experts are saying that President Biden is to blame. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me look at my information again. Oh, that's right. No experts have said it was President Biden who caused this inflation. But Trump says experts are blaming President Biden for inflation. I knew I had something wrong here. So getting very serious. So Donald Trump says Joe Biden is the cause of inflation in America. Remember those egg prices and grocery prices that Trump ran on during his campaign to become president? Donald said he would change it on day one. 23 days later, and groceries are rising dramatically. More false promises, more blatant lies, more exaggerations from Donald, the wannabe dictator. So let's hear your comments with an email. You can reach me at wolfpacklistener@gmail.com or the toll-free voicemail box 833-399-9653, or leave me a comment on Blue Sky if you're over there. I'll be back in 2 days with another episode of A World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, sitting in a room talking to myself. Stay hopeful.